Yeah, the guy in the ceiling, and somebody recently, who was I talking with? Somebody, Colby or somebody, about the guy who lived in the ceiling, and he said, no, it's not true. So I want to be very careful that maybe I have imagined something.
Well, this is an urban legend, perhaps.
It's an urban legend, perhaps. But in the beginning of the college, once the buildings on campus were built, A wing, B wing, C and D wing, those four wings, upstairs in B wing, they had, among other things, they had some classes there, classrooms there, but they had faculty offices, and they called them landscaped offices. And what they were cubicles with walls that were just chin high, in a sense, maybe 5 feet high or 5.5 feet high. Faculty didn't like them. First of all, and rightfully so, faculty said, how can I talk with anybody in a confidential way when everybody is listening all over the next to it? You know, this is not appropriate. And so that was one reason. The noise level was, I mean, unless it was early morning or late night, there was always somebody in there, and there were typewriters going and, printers and, So the faculty didn't like them and said, and the administration said, look, as soon as we build the next phase, we're building offices. So you just have to kind of wait, and because we're really short of space here, and you'll all have an office. And faculty then began to notice, according to this story that I remember, I never saw this guy, but I remember the story, is faculty began to find footprints on top of their desk, or their desks. And they would come in, and here'd be 2 footprints, or they'd find papers that they had organized in a very nice clean stack, all falling off on the floor, etc. And it became very clear that, because there was no security, that's the other thing, how can I have any private confidential material because there's no door? So they thought, yeah, well, somebody's getting in at night and stealing stuff. But at that point, I don't think anybody had anything that was stolen. They just found footprints. Why would there be footprints on their desks? And then the faculty noticed that it was only on a few desks that there were footprints, and they were always on those desks and not on others. So the theory finally is that they got on the desk and pushed aside one of the ceiling panels, which are very much like these, and pulled themselves up. And there is a crawl space up there. I don't know its exact height, but I'd say probably 4 feet, something like that. It's all metal, but you can. So if you took all this out, you could see what I'm talking about. And so the story that I was told is that the faculty began to try to plan its time when, they could see if this guy was coming down, and they were hiding under the cubicles to see if something was happening. And sure enough, one night a guy dropped out of the ceiling and then jumped off the desk. They weren't interested in the desk. And then, looked around and went someplace else, and then came back and got on the desk and got back up into the ceiling and pulled the tiles shut, and that was it. And when they interviewed him or talked to him about this, because they finally did catch him, he had a place which was in the far northeast corner of that wing, of B wing. He was sort of living there. I don't know that he lived there all the time, but he had, books there, and he had a blanket there, and And that was the story about the guy living in the ceiling. Now, as I said, I since have tried to corroborate that with other early faculty, and I think it was Colby said, no, I've never heard that story. As
the story is told, was he a student?
Yeah.
That's where he was living.
Yeah, that's where he was living. And he had to come down go to the bathroom and get food and other things, and he dropped down on a desk. That's how he got in. Desks are higher, and the ceiling is apparently a little bit lower there. I can't remember. But anyway, move the thing and pull himself up. So we want to be careful that we don't assign that to be,
Truth.
that we've proven that,
Right, right.
because I don't know anybody.
Well, we've got a nice section on urban legends.
Yeah, well, that's an urban
I've
legend.
written that.
Yeah.